This is Goku Sun DBZ and welcome back for a new collections video for Magic the Gathering. This time we are looking at my collection of white cards. So with that said, let's check it out. Starting out of course with common monsters, then common spells, then uncommons, and so on. With that said, first up we have some more real world like animals. And the music today comes to us from Silent Hill 2. So if you are an old school survival horror fan like myself, enjoy the music. One of my favorite starter cards I had when I got back original Zendikar. Personally, I've always been a pretty big fan of the artwork and variety of different types of creature designs in Magic. One of the first decks I would ever build would be a white deck, specifically a life gain deck, which I predominantly used angels in. Then later I would become obsessed over core creatures, and that would become my standard white deck, though it has evolved over time to a combination red and white deck with core creatures. And I pretty much separate off to the side from the rest of the core creatures in here and the angels, as those are in my top 5 favorite creatures in Magic. Okay, I messed up. Somehow I accidentally put some uncommons here, which they shouldn't have been. Now this is probably one of the more expensive common white cards in Magic, weirdly enough. And yet it's from Rise of Eldrazi. Holy cow, LOL. Though that's a bison, not a cow, but whatever. And this is it for the common white monsters. Now we move on to the spells. Lifelink. Very useful back in the 2000s. Like, Lifelink wasn't quite as common on monsters as it is nowadays. Probably one of my personal favorite cards in my old Life King deck was Rest for the Weary, which was quite useful. Hopefully you're enjoying the music choice I made today with Silent Hill. Yep, another quite useful card at times. Given you could gain 7 life, quite useful. Though, unfortunately, it does cost 4 mana. And this was a card that would save me more than once. The fact it only costs 1 mana to also use one of my favorite, probably spells out of original Zendikar. And boy, do I have a lot of this one. I'm not sure how many reprints it's gone over the years. Now, here's some pretty cool showcase cards, which came from Murders at Karloff Manor, which I kind of like the design. It harkens back to old era. Personally, I'm the type who actually thinks that Murders at Karloff Manor, I feel, is a criminally underrated set. And the good thing is it's going to make it a lot easier to collect for, as the prices are far more reasonable. Heck, CardKingdom.com right now has that set, sadly you can only buy up to 8 packs, which sucks, because right now they're on sale for $249 a booster pack at CardKingdom.com, which is kind of crazy. At times, if you wait patiently for some deals at Card Kingdom, you will find some legit great deals on occasion. And that is right now, I think, one of the best deals at the moment. Now, of course, we're on the uncommons. One thing is for sure, out of the different color sets, there's definitely a lot, I think, probably more humans in the white than there's been in most other colors. That's kind of a weird one. The fact you have a mountain lion with ram horns. Kind of weird, but kind of cool at the same time. I will say of sets that I hate how expensive the packs and stuff are nowadays, as I would love to go back and buy a few for an unboxing video or something, but unfortunately prices for sealed booster packs of original Zendikar, Worldwake, and Rise of Eldrazi have gotten a little too pricey for my liking. Weirdly enough, Worldwake, which is pretty much up there neck and neck with original Zendikar, is my favorite set. Worldwake boosters are actually just a tad cheaper Rise of Eldrazi, I'm not surprised, are expensive, because it seems like anything that involves Eldrazi creatures tends to run more. Heck, you don't believe me? Look at the prices on the double masters, like commander deck of Eldrazi. It's going for over $100 for the decks. Heck, you can get a Sliver deck in the same set for about $20 or $30 less than the Eldrazi. Personally, I was never the biggest into slivers, as I only personally have a few sliver cards. Years ago, I did have that, like, hollow, like, sliver deck. I really wish I hadn't have sold it off years ago. Had I known what that set would be going for now, I would have never gotten rid of it. And one of the only Japanese cards I have in my collection. And now we go on to the rares. Honestly, that looks like a Dark Souls 2 boss. Of course, Dark Souls 2, as I've said before, is my personal favorite of the Dark Souls series. Now, people I know personally that play Magic are actually all surprisingly mostly into Dark Souls. But it kind of makes sense, really, when you think about it. And I'm surprised I got like 2 copies now of this card, as it is starting to go up a little, surprisingly. But not a lot, unfortunately. And these are the only mythicals. Now, I don't know why I put a couple angels here when I was supposed to keep them with the actual angel cards, but here's 4 that I forgot to put over there. This, of course, is from the newest set. Well, one of the newest. Interesting card. Probably of newer angels is probably one of my personal favorites. Also love this one as well. But here we go, the foils. Of course, when it comes to foil cards, not always is a foil going to be valuable, as basically there's a foil version of every card. And now we move on to the cores. My dear core creatures. As I've said before, I'll say again, my favorite plane in Magic is Zendikar. Will always be my favorite plane, personally. If you can get a lot of core creatures on the field, and given how well they work together, they can be almost as annoying as a goblin deck or a elf deck. The elves are probably the kings of being annoying. One of my favorite core creatures, which came from Rise of Eldrazi. Definitely a good card to work with your cards, given its ability. It's quite useful. Also, a nice little sorcery card to use in the deck. And now on to the angels. Minus the angels I put in the wrong spot. I don't know why I have so many of this specific one. Definitely got a lot of reprints over the years. Probably one of my favorite earlier angel cards, arguably. This one's pretty nice, as it has flying, first strike, lifelink protection from demons and dragons. For 5 mana, and it's a 5/5. That is pretty good if you ask me. And I'll get ready to show you my all-time favorite Angel card. And here it is. This is my #1 favorite Angel card in all of Magic. I just love this art style. And it's probably also my favorite monster from Worldwake. And then we go to the few vintage cards I have. Yeah, some of these are from like 7 as well as 8. Some of the oldest. As you're talking, though, this is like 2001. Still, 23 years old. Definitely a useful little card to have, given it only costs 2 mana and all white creatures gain +1/+1. It's pretty nice. Of artwork of the earlier cards I have, this is probably one of my personal favorites. Divine Transformation. Yeah, it costs 4 mana, but keep in mind, target creature gets +3/+3, which is quite nice. That can be really useful in an Angel deck. And that's the white-sided ones, and here's the vintage regular black-sided. But hopefully you enjoyed this with also the music from Amayoka in the background. Or, hopefully I got the name correct. Sometimes I get composer names messed up in my head. So I will always have a special place for... This was probably one of my first vintage cards I got in my collection. And a pretty cool dragon card. Arguably one of the oldest dragons in the collection. You'll have to leave a comment and let me know what is your if you also like collecting white magic cards, let me know what is your personal favorite creatures. Do you have the same as me, core and angels, or some completely different? And get ready to wrap this up, and I'll see y'all next time. Stay safe out there in YouTube land. But I'll see y'all next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel.